Om Shri Sai Ram, Shri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 4. Sai Baba's first advent in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints. Shirdi, a holy Tir. Personality of Sai Baba. Dictum of Gauli Buva. Appearance of Vittal. Kshir Sagar's story. Das Ganu's bath in Prayag. Immaculate conception of Sai Baba and his first advent in Shirdi. 3 Vadas. In the last chapter, I described the circumstances which led me to write Sai Satcharitra. Let me now describe the first advent of Sai Baba in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shlokas 7 and 8, that whenever there is a decay of dharma, righteousness, and an ascendancy of unrighteousness, I manifest myself, and for the protection of the virtuous, the destruction of the vicious, and for the establishment of righteousness, I manifest myself in age after age. This is the mission of Lord and the sages and saints who are his representatives and who appear here at proper times, help in their own way to fulfill that mission. For instance, when the twice born, that is, the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, neglect their duties, and when the Shudras try to usurp the rights of the higher classes, when spiritual preceptors are not respected but humiliated, when nobody cares for religious instructions, when everybody thinks himself very learned, when people begin to partake of forbidden foods and intoxicating drinks, when under the cloak of religion people indulge in malpractices, when people belonging to different sects fight amongst themselves, when Brahmins fail to do Sandhya adoration and the orthodox their religious practices, when yogis neglect their meditation, when people begin to think that wealth, progeny, wife are their sole concern, and thus turn away from the true path of salvation, then do saints appear and try to set matters right by their words and action. They serve us as beacon lights and show us the right path and the right way for us to follow. In this way, many saints, that is, Nivriti, Jnanadeva, Muktabai, Namdev, Gora, Gonai, Eknath, Tukaram, Narahari, Narsibai, Sajan Kasai, Savata, Ramdas, and various others did appear at various times to show the right path to the people, and so presently came Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi. Shirdi, a holy Tirth. The banks of the Godavari river in the Ahmednagar district are very fortunate, for they gave birth and refuge to many a saint, prominent amongst them being Jnaneshwar. Shirdi also falls in the Kopargaon taluk of Ahmednagar district. After crossing the Godavari river at Kopargaon, one gets the way to Shirdi. When you go 3 course, 9 miles, you come to Neemgaon, from whence Shirdi is visible. Shirdi is as famous and well known as other holy places like Gangapur, Narsinhawadi, Audumbar on the banks of Krishna river. As the devotee Damaji flourished in and blessed Mangal Veda near Pandharpur, as Samarth Ramdas at Sajjangarh, as Sri Nrisimha Saraswati at Saraswati Wadi, so Sainath flourished at Shirdi and blessed it. Personality of Sai Baba. It is on account of Sai Baba that Shirdi grew into importance. Let us see what sort of a personage Sai Baba was. He conquered this sansar worldly existence, which is very difficult and hard to cross. Peace or mental calm was his ornament, and he was the repository of wisdom. He was the home of Vaishnava devotees, most liberal like Karna among us liberals, the quintessence of all essences. He had no love for perishable things and was always engrossed in self realization, which was his sole concern. He felt no pleasure in the things of this world or of the world beyond. His antarang heart was as clear as a mirror, and his speech always rained nectar. The rich or poor people were the same to him. He did not know or care for honor or dishonor. He was the Lord of all beings. He spoke freely and mixed with all people, saw the actings and dances of Nach girls, and heard Gajal songs. Still, he swerved not an inch from Samadhi, mental equilibrium. The name of Allah was always on his lips. While the world awoke, he slept. And while the world slept, he was vigilant. His abdomen inside was as calm as the deep sea. His ashram could not be determined, nor his actions could be definitely determined. And though he sat in one place, he knew all the transactions of the world. His darbar was imposing. He told daily hundreds of stories, still he swerved not an inch from his vow of silence. He always leaned against the wall in the masjid or walked morning, noon, and evening towards Lendi and Chavadi. Still, he at all times abided in the self. Though a Siddha, he acted like a Sadhaka. He was meek, humble, and egoless and pleased all. Such was Sai Baba, and as Sai Baba's feet treaded the soil of Shirdi, it attained extraordinary importance. As Jnaneshwar elevated Alandi, Eknath did to Paithan, so Sai Baba raised Shirdi. Blessed are the grass leaves and stones of Shirdi, for they could easily kiss the holy feet of Sai Baba and take their dust on their head. Shirdi became to us, devotees, another Pandarpur, Jagannath, Dwarka, Banaras, Kashi, and Rameshwar, Badri Kedar, Nashik, Triambakeshwar, Ujjain, and Mahakaleshwar or Mahabaleshwar Gokarn. Contact of Sai Baba in Shirdi was like our Veda and Tantra. It quieted our samsara, world consciousness, and rendered self-realization easy. The darshan of Sri Sai was our yoga sadhana, and talk with him removed our sins. Shampooing his legs was our bath in Triveni Prayag, and drinking the holy water of his feet destroyed our desires. To us, his commands were Vedas, and accepting, eating his udi, sacred ashes, and prasad was all purifying. He was our Sri Krishna and Sri Rama who gave us solace, and he was our Parabrahma, absolute reality. He was himself beyond the pair of dvandvas, opposite, never dejected nor elated. He was always engrossed in his self as existence, knowledge, and bliss. Shirdi was his center, but his field of action extended far wide to Punjab, Calcutta, North India, Gujarat, Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, and Konkan. Thus, the fame of Sai Baba spread far and wide, and people from all parts came to take his darshan and be blessed. By mere darshan, minds of people, whether pure or impure, would become at once quiet. They got here the same sort of unparalleled joy that devotees get at Pandarpur by seeing Vitthal Rukmai. This is not an exaggeration. Consider what a devotee says in this respect. Dictum of Gaulibuva. An old devotee by name Gaulibuva, aged about 95 years, was a Varkari of Pandari. He stayed 8 months at Pandharpur and 4 months, Ashada to Kartik, July to November, on the banks of the Ganges. He had an ass with him for carrying his luggage and a disciple as his companion. Every year he made his wari or trip to Pandharpur and came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba, whom he loved most. He used to stare at Baba and say, "This is Pandarinath Vittal incarnate, the merciful Lord of the poor and helpless." This Gaulibuva was an old devotee of Vitoba and had made many a trip to Pandari, and he testified that Sai Baba was real Pandarinath. Vittal himself appeared. Sai Baba was very fond of remembering and singing God's name. He always uttered Allah Malik, God is Lord, and in his presence made others sing God's name continuously day and night for 7 days. This is called Nama Saptaha. Once he asked Dasganu Maharaj to do the Nama Saptaha. He replied that he would do it provided he was assured that Vitthal would appear at the end of the 7th day. Then Baba, placing his hand on his breast, assured him that certainly Vitthal would appear, but that the devotee must be earnest and devout. The Dankapuri, Thakur of Thakurnath, the Pandari of Vitthal, the Dwarka of Ranchod, Krishna is here, Shirdi. One need not go far out to see Dwarka. Will Vitthal come here from some outside place? He is here. Only when the devotee is bursting with love and devotion, Vitthal will manifest himself here in Shirdi. After the Saptaha was over, Vitthal did manifest himself in the following manner. Kaka Sahib Dikshit was, as usual, sitting in meditation after the bath, and he saw Vitthal in a vision. When he went at noon for Baba's darshan, Baba asked him point blank, "Did Vitthal Patil come? Did you see him? He is a very truant fellow. Catch him firmly, otherwise he will escape if you be a little inattentive." This happened in the morning, and at noon there was another Vitthal darshan. One hawker from outside came there for selling 25 or 30 pictures of Vithoba. This picture exactly tallied with the figure that appeared in Kaka Sahib's vision. On seeing this and remembering Baba's words, Kaka Sahib Dikshit was much surprised and delighted. He bought one picture of Vithoba and placed it in his shrine for worship. Bhagavant Rao Kshir Sagar's story. How fond was Baba for Vitthal worship was illustrated in Bhagavant Rao's Kshir Sagar's story. The father of Bhagavant Rao was a devotee of Vithoba and used to make varis, annual trips to Pandharpur. He also had an image of Vithoba at home, which he worshipped. After his death, the son stopped everything, the vari, the worship, and Shraddha ceremony, etc. When Bhagavant Rao came to Shirdi, Baba, on remembering his father, at once said, "His father was my friend, so I dragged him here. He never offered Naivedya, offering of food, and so he starved Vitthal and me. So I brought him here. I shall remonstrate him now and set him to worship." Das Ganu's bath in Prayag. The Hindus think that a bath in the holy Tirth of Prayag, where the Ganga and Yamuna meet, is very meritorious, and thousands of pilgrims go there at periodical times to have the sacred bath there. Once, Dasganu thought that he should go to Prayag for a bath and came to Baba to get his permission for doing so. Baba replied to him, "It is not necessary to go so long. Our Prayag is here, believe me." Then, wonder of wonders, when Dasganu placed his head on Baba's feet, out came or flowed streams of Ganga Yamuna water from both the toes of Baba. Seeing this miracle, Das Ganu was overwhelmed with feelings of love and adoration and was full of tears. Inwardly, he felt inspired, and his speech burst forth into a song in praise of Baba and his Leelas, Immaculate Conception of Sai Baba, and his first advent in Shirdi. Nobody knew the parents, birth, or birthplace of Sai Baba. Many inquiries were made, many questions were put to Baba and others regarding these items, but no satisfactory answer or information has yet been obtained. Practically, we know nothing about these matters. Namdev and Kabir were not born like ordinary mortals. They were found as infants in mother of pearls. Namdev being found on the bank Bhimrati river by Gonai and Kabir on the bank Bhagirathi river by Tamal. Similar was the case with Sai Baba. He first manifested himself as a young lad of 16 under a neem tree in Shirdi for the sake of bhaktas. Even then he seemed to be full with knowledge of Brahman. He had no desire for worldly objects even in dream. He kicked out Maya, and Mukti, deliverance, was serving at his feet. One old woman of Shirdi, the mother of Nana Chopdar, described him thus: "This young lad, fair, smart, and very handsome, was first seen under the neem tree, seated in an asan. The people of the village were wonderstruck to see such a young lad practicing hard penance, not minding heat and cold. By day he associated with none, by night he was afraid of nobody. People were wondering and asking whence this young chap had turned up. His form and features were so beautiful that a mere look endeared him to all. He went to nobody's door, always sat near the neem tree. Outwardly, he looked very young, but by his action, he was really a great soul. He was the embodiment of dispassion and was an enigma to all. One day it so happened that God Khandoba possessed the body of some devotee, and people began to ask him, Deva, you please inquire what blessed father's son is this lad, and whence did he come? God Khandoba asked them to bring a pickaxe and dig in a particular place. When it was dug, bricks were found underneath a flat stone. When the stone was removed, a corridor led to a cellar where cow mouth shaped structures, wooden boards, necklaces were seen. Khandoba said, "This lad practiced penance here for 12 years. Then the people began to question the lad about this. He put them off the scent by telling that it was his guru's place, his holy watan, and requested them to guard it well. The people then closed the corridor as before. As Ashwatha and Audumbar trees are held sacred, Baba regarded this neem tree equally sacred and loved it most. Mahalsapati and other Shirdi devotees regard this site as the resting place, Samadhisthana, of Baba's Guru and prostrate before it. 3 Vadas. The site with the neem tree and surrounding space was bought by Mr. Hari Vinayak Sathe, and on his site a big building styled Sathe's Vada was erected. This Vada was the sole resting place for pilgrims who flocked there. A platform was built around the neem tree, and lofts with steps were constructed. Under the steps, there is a niche facing south, and devotees sit on the par facing north. It is believed that he who burns incense there on Thursday and Friday evenings will, by God's grace, be happy. This Vada was old and dilapidated and wanted repairs. This Sansthan has made the necessary repairs, additions, and alterations now. Then, after some years, another Vada, Dikshit's Vada, was constructed. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, solicitor of Bombay, had gone to England. He had injured his leg by an accident there. The injury could not be got rid of by any means. Nana Sahib Chandorkar advised him to try Sai Baba. So he saw Sai Baba in 1909 and requested him to cure rather the lameness of his mind than that of his leg. He was so much pleased with the darshan of Sai Baba that he decided to reside in Shirdi. So he built a vada for himself and other devotees. The foundation of this building was laid on 10/12/1910. On this day, two other important events took place. Number 1. Mr. Dada Saheb Kapadde was given permission to return home, and the second one, the night Arati in Chavdi was commenced. The Vada was complete and was inhabited on the Ramanavami day in 1911 with due rites and formalities. Number 3. Then another Vada or palatial mansion was put up by the famous millionaire Mr. Booty of Nagpur. Lots of money was spent on this building, but the entire amount was well utilized, as Sai Baba's body is resting in this Vada, which is now called the Samadhi Mandir. The site of this mandir had formerly a garden which was watered and looked after by Baba. 3 Vadas thus sprang up where there was none formerly. Of these, Sate's Vada was most useful to all in the early days. The story of the garden, attended to by Sai Baba with the help of Vaman Tatya, the temporary absence of Sai Baba from Shirdi, and his coming again to Shirdi with the marriage party of Chand Patil, the company of Devidas, Janki Das, and Gangagir, Baba's wrestling match with Mohuddin Tamboli, residence at Masjid, love of Mr. Dangale, and other devotees and other incidents will be discussed in the next chapter. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all.